Okay, I had to come back to this question. What do you think, and this is from RFV089, what do you think is the film that you disliked but other people thought was good? And it was really hard for me to come up with movies that I disliked that everybody thought was good, because I still wouldn't say I disliked these movies, but a recent movie I thought was overrated was the new Star Trek. I did like the movie, I just didn't think it was as good as everybody else was saying it was. So looking at this list here on Wikipedia, list of films considered the best, the only ones I can really come up with that I didn't care much for are Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Everybody seems to love that movie. I just don't think it's that great. I would never watch that movie again. King Kong, the original King Kong. I rented that as a kid, and for whatever reason, I could not get into the original King Kong. Now, maybe it's because I was like 8 at the time. I don't know. I haven't tried to watch it again, but that's a movie I didn't care for. And Blade Runner. Blade Runner is on this list of films considered the best, and I remember renting that, and that's another movie I couldn't get into for whatever reason. But I'll tell you movies I did dislike. A lot of David Lynch movies. Eraserhead was probably the worst fucking piece of shit I ever watched in my life. Trying to sit down and watch Eraserhead with all the hype. Oh, this is David Lynch. It's like his first movie. It's so weird and unique and original. I could not stand that movie. I forced myself to watch it. I thought it was horrible. Dune was another movie that was pretty shitty. I did like Blue Velvet, though. I have that movie. But yeah, that just Eraserhead and Dune and I think the Lost Highway. That one wasn't quite as bad, but it was still like, what the fuck? Who pays this guy to make movies? And I know a lot of people love David Lynch, so I feel bad saying that, but I'm just not a big fan. 3. What is the most memorable horror movie scene that you have ever seen in your lifetime? I guess the first time we see Michael Myers in Halloween. That was probably one of my first horror movie moments. The scene in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 when, I can't remember his name, he works at the radio station, he gets kidnapped by the Leatherface family, and they cut his skin off, including his face, and they put it on the girl, and then when they leave the room, we see he's still alive. That was very disturbing to me. And then you have just classic scenes like Freddy's hand in the bathtub, or when Jason gets the hockey mask, Leatherface spinning the chainsaw around. 4. What are your thoughts on WWE's current storylines, and what was the best pay-per-view you have seen in WWE, TNA, and ROH? I think the current storylines have been pretty bad in WWE. They started with potential. Daniel Bryan versus Cena. Those guys, it felt like it was kind of thrown together. And they were still burying Daniel Bryan. He's too small and all of that. But Cena and Daniel Bryan made this thing work. They pulled it together. They had a great match at SummerSlam. Daniel Bryan won, and as soon as Orton cashed in, which I was okay with at first, but when they kept screwing the fans over, when they wanted to see Daniel Bryan get a run with the belt, it killed everything, and it's been shit ever since. So that was really bad. Best pay-per-views? Oh, I am terrible at that. It's hard for me to remember. With so many shows, it's hard for me to remember standout shows. I know in WWE a classic one people always talk about is Canadian Stampede. I did like that show. I had it on VHS when I was a kid. Not like the official show, I mean I recorded the pay-per-view onto VHS. I also liked the first Hell in a Cell pay-per-view with, I don't even know the name of it. It was Shawn Michaels versus Undertaker. I think it was Unforgiven or Bad Blood or something like that. And the Hell in a Cell with Mankind going off the top and through the roof. TNA, nothing really stands out to me. I think the Against All Odds pay-per-view or Slammiversary last year was really good. One of those. I can't remember which, but I remember watching a TNA show last year that was just really good, and everybody loved that one. Very solid card. And with Ring of Honor, same thing. Nothing really comes to mind. I guess Jay Briscoe winning the title was a really cool moment. But it's like all the shows have been plagued with streaming issues. And it's always hurt the quality. Like, it'll be a good show, but because of the streaming issues, it always brings it down. And I feel like I've said that a lot in my reviews of the Ring of Honor shows is, man, this would have been a great show if I could have watched it, you know? So it's really hard to judge. The first thing that comes to mind is the most recent Final Battle with Steen versus Generico, but I can't really remember if that was a solid show. I did enjoy that Final Battle Ladder War match, but Final Battle 2011 was another decent show. They had the surprise of Chris Hero, but that show was like 4 hours. It was very long. And by the end of it, even though the matches were really good, it was like, fuck, dude, 4 hours of this. Come on now. So hopefully that answered your question. I'm terrible with pay-per-view names and trying to remember all these shows. It's just so much information. Jeff Cole, what do you think of Chris Hero's release from WWE? And could you have seen WWE doing a possible Kings of Wrestling reunion with Zeb Coulter managing them? I think with Chris Hero leaving, it's wasted potential. They could have done a lot with him. The guy's really talented. And I don't think they were ever going to do the Kings of Wrestling as an official tag team, kind of like the Real Americans. Maybe if Cesaro went off on his own and they had brought Chris Hero in, at one point they would have put them together as a team if they were both heels or baby faces or something, just for like a Raw match, and fans would have really been into that. But I don't think they would have made them the Kings of Wrestling. And now that Chris Hero is gone, I mean, clearly they had other plans for Cesaro. They wanted him to be a singles guy from the beginning. And now that Chris Hero is gone, it's just another what could have been opportunity that they wasted. Because we'll never get to see it now. But there's a ton of Kings of Wrestling matches online for Ring of Honor, for CZW, for other companies that you can go watch. 3-minute warning. With TNA slowly going back to its roots, do you think it can now be the true alternative to WWE after all these years? I don't think so. I think they were more of an alternative with the six-sided ring. Even though I wasn't a big fan of the six-sided ring, they were more of an alternative back then. And that's another guy. I'm going to throw Jeff Jarrett into that 40-man Royal Rumble match. But now, I don't think so. I think a lot of damage has been done to TNA's credibility. It's going to be very hard for them to get new fans. And it would take a long time of being consistently good to even get back the fans who quit watching it. 2. Who is a better world champion, Chris Sabin or Adam Cole? Adam Cole just became world champion, so it's hard to say. but just based off of Saban's short run, I'm going to say Adam Cole. I feel like the Ring of Honor World title just... I don't want to say it means a lot more, but because they don't pass it around, the only person who's won the world title twice is Austin Aries. So when you get that belt, it's kind of like a milestone. And it really shows what a guy's capable of doing. And they don't just hand the belt to anyone either. So I think that Adam Cole can probably do a lot with his run. And the fact that they believe enough in him to put the belt on him says a lot. And I think he definitely deserves to be world champion. Saban, I don't know what the fuck that was. What was that? What was that title run he had? That was crap. And 3, are you tired of brother versus brother feuds in wrestling? I wouldn't say I'm tired of it. I mean, it doesn't bother me when it's two guys who have strong personalities. Like the Hardys or the Briscoe brothers. Guys like the Usos, they don't need to feud. But if it's two guys who have strong personalities, you can do something cool with it, like the Briscoes. Jersey 12361. Hey man, I have 3 questions. What was your best and worst segment from WWE or TNA? Question number 2. When are you doing Let's Play videos? Question number 3. Who is your favorite character from Walking Dead Season 4? I'm a couple episodes behind in Walking Dead Season 4. So I haven't really seen the Governor do a whole lot. But I'm going to say the Governor. And I'm still a fan of Daryl. But I do have to say, I've really enjoyed Rick this season. Especially after he kicked Carol out of the prison. That made me very happy. Let's Plays, I'm not sure. I have no date on when I'll be doing Let's Plays. It's just something I kind of want to do in the future. Maybe over the summer. And best and worst segments from WWE or TNA. One of the best segments in WWE was definitely the CM Punk worked shoot promo. Also, Steve Austin attacking Vince McMahon in the hospital. Those are 2 of the best. Worst in WWE, Heidenreich raping Michael Cole. Mae Young giving birth to a hand. The gobbledygooker. A bunch of shit. A bunch of shit. And in TNA, even more shit. Eric Bischoff being held hostage by the Bird. Samoa Joe getting kidnapped by ninjas. Joseph Park, or not Joseph Park, Abyss and Hulk Hogan's Hall of Fame ring. That whole thing. Just so much. Best in TNA. Best segments in TNA. I'm having some trouble with this. A recent one. I'll give you a recent one. That's the only thing coming to mind. The Aces and Eights acting like they were going to break up, and it was a swerve, and they came back and attacked Ken Anderson a couple weeks ago. I did not see that coming. I did enjoy that segment. Now, I'm not saying TNA has no good segments. It's just I can't think of any right now. The bad ones, though, they're right there. Angelina Love becoming a zombie. That was another bad thing. Adam Hollingsworth. If you could make a match between a TNA wrestler and WWE wrestler, who would you pick? Why would you pick them, and what type of match would it be? I would do Bobby Roode versus Dolph Ziggler in a 2 out of 3 falls match, because I think they have not really similar styles, but they're both so good that I think they would naturally adapt to each other. Like, Roode can work with a lot of guys and make them look good. Dolph Ziggler can make anybody look good. And you put them together, I can only imagine how awesome that would be. I would want to see a feud with these two, not just a match. But if I had to pick a match, I think 2 out of 3 falls would be really good. Really well suited for those two. CM live reactions. Have you ever heard of live reactions on YouTube? And if you have, you ever planned on doing any? Oh, I guess you mean like when people are watching the show and they give, kind of like when the Off the Rope show guys would do the Royal Rumbles and they would show the reactions when the guys came out. I guess that's what you're talking about. I've thought about doing that. I think those are pretty awesome videos, actually. Number 2, why don't you like Sting? I said this earlier, it's not that I don't like Sting. I have a lot of respect for Sting. I was a big fan of Sting's growing up. And I don't blame Sting for TNA putting him over younger guys like Matt Morgan, but I blame the company. And when you see that happen, you just kind of feel like Sting needs to step away. He could be a good on-screen character, and I feel bad because they're throwing money at him. It's not like the guy can just turn down money for barely having to work a few dates a month. So it's not that I don't like Sting, I just hate the fact that he keeps coming back and beating guys. When at his age, it's time to walk away. 3, who is the oldest of your family and who is the youngest member? I'm the oldest. I have a younger brother and a younger sister. My sister's the youngest. 4, what do you think of this new Kane and what do you think they will do with it? Corporate Kane is interesting to me because I've never seen Kane in this role. He's always the monster. He's always been the monster Kane. With or without the mask, he's been the monster. So this is something new. And it's way better than bringing Kane back as a babyface or a heel. And he's wearing the mask. And he's either destroying guys like Zack Ryder or he's doing lame shit like playing the trombone with Santino. So I'm glad they're doing something new with him. Not sure what they're going to do with it, but it's different. Isaiah1231CPNYC. I think Ariana's boyfriend Vinny has that look to him where he could pass as a wrestler. Haha, it's a little something I observed. The guy's in good shape, but I don't really see anything wrestler-ish about him. He's just really annoying. Wrestling Fortune 44. How did you get into wrestling? I would have to say my uncle was a huge fan of wrestling, and he would watch it. Big fan of Hulk Hogan, and that's what got me into it, was watching wrestling because he watched wrestling. My parents have nothing to do with wrestling. Never cared about wrestling, and never let me believe it was real. No matter how young I was. We were not a family that believed in Santa Claus either. So they never tried to bullshit me. 2, what was the longest period of time you've gone without watching or thinking about wrestling? Definitely after the Invasion angle flopped. I probably went a couple years, maybe just a year. And what would bring me back, I was still playing the video games at the time for the GameCube, the Day of Reckoning games, WrestleMania 19. So I would go away and then I'd get the new game and it would kind of get me back into it. And I'd see new characters in the game, so I'd watch the shows to find out more about those characters. But I wouldn't stick with it. They kept losing me. I would not watch it every single week like I used to. And eventually I just started watching it again regularly in 2010. And then I started doing the videos in 2012. But I kind of took different breaks from wrestling over the years. I can't really say what was my longest break. 3, how many more years do you think Undertaker has? I guess it's hard to predict because it's up to his body and how much he can do. I don't think Undertaker's going to come back if he can't put on high quality matches at least once a year. And I think his matches have been really good, so I would say 3 years. Wouldn't that put him at 25-0? So WrestleMania's coming up. That's going to be 22-0, right? Yeah, so I'd say 3, maybe 4 years. And 4, what is your favorite wrestling game? Of all time? No Mercy. But closely followed by WCW and NWO Revenge, Day of Reckoning 2, and WrestleMania 2000, and then WWF Raw for the Super Nintendo. Played the crap out of that game. Just have good memories just thinking about it. Liberty Bell, thanks for the mention. Showing 896 here. Oh, I watch the vids because I find them entertaining. I comment on them because I find me entertaining, lol. Phew, I thought I had missed your Raw review. Now I know you haven't done it yet. I had to sit through 3 hours. Painful. Feel free to wish me a happy birthday. Well, happy belated birthday. We agree on the YouTube situation. Like Facebook, once you get used to it, they fuck it up. Great work. Got a jet. Cake to eat. Better be rum cake. The Brony Assassin 167. Few random questions. 1. What's your shoe size? Yes, random. Favorite Avenger? What do you think of Chris Hero getting fired? Last question. Sorry if this is too many. If it is, reply. And I'll scrap some last question. What's your favorite snack? Favorite snack? Slim Jims. Shoe size? 11. Chris Hero getting fired. It sucks. Wasted potential. Wasted opportunity for WWE to have a guy who truly loves wrestling and would be loyal to the company and work his ass off every night. Favorite Avenger? In the movies, the Hulk. In the comics, damn near everybody's been an Avenger, and I've always been a fan of Spider-Man, so I'd say Spider-Man was my favorite Avenger. And if we're talking the core group of Avengers with Captain America, Hawkeye, Ant-Man, I would have to say Captain America. Before I'd probably say Iron Man, but after the Civil War, I just said fuck Iron Man. He just really pissed me off. Brandon Richter, fan from Australia. Add me on Facebook, Brandon Richter. Well, my Facebook page is in the description on all my videos, so you can just send me a friend request. I accept everybody. Few questions. What are you studying and what do you do for work? Have you ever been to a pay-per-view live, Raw, or SmackDown? Well, I'm studying psychology in school, and right now I still work from home online, and I've never been to a Raw or SmackDown, but I did just get my tickets for WrestleMania 30, so WrestleMania 30 will be my first live WWE show. And like I said earlier about my parents, they weren't big into wrestling, so we never really went to WWE shows, but they would take me to local Armory indie wrestling shows. Not even indie. I don't know what you would call these shows. They were so bad. So terrible. I'm actually thinking, now that I'm thinking about this, I will probably make a video at some point just talking about the local wrestling in this area. Now it's much better, but when I was in high school, my God, it was bad. So we never really went to big wrestling shows. But now I have seen TNA. I always try to make the Ring of Honor shows when they come around, and WrestleMania 30 will be my first WWE show. I'm very excited for that. It should be a really fun week. I plan to go to Fan Access. I plan to hit up the Ring of Honor show, I believe on Saturday, and then Sunday WrestleMania. I know they do Fan Access all week, but I've already registered for the second semester, and my classes will not allow me to be gone all week unless I just want to miss a crap load of school. So I'm just going to try to go for that weekend and go to Fan Access on Friday, so I'm not missing too many days. Balzer77, I demand that trip video. I don't care how bad the quality is. It would be cool if you could do videos outside of your place, like a trip to that fucked up theater you go watch movies at, LOL. It's a good idea. I just haven't really gone to the theater that much lately, but I have planned to do videos outside of my house, but every time I try to do that, something gets screwed up. The TNA video, it wasn't bad quality, like camera quality. I just didn't think the video was that great. And I remember I was out of town, I was going to do a Ring of Honor TV review, and I got really sick. I had the flu, I had pink eye, so I couldn't record there. Then I went to Cherokee, to the casino, and they were doing the Wrestling is Fun pay-per-view. I was going to try to record that in a new area, and the internet sucked so much I couldn't watch the free stream. And the only time I've tried to actually take a camera and just record footage, like outside of my house, I didn't really like the video that much, but there were other circumstances. I still would have uploaded it, but then I had already reviewed the live show, and, well, you know what I'm talking about. Martin Ellis. My question would be why WWE TNA don't listen to the fans. Granted, there are some idiots out there, but business is surely catering to the people that pay the bills. Adults pay the bills. We are the ones that buy pay-per-views, or in the current climate, don't. It seems like what we want doesn't matter anymore. I love your videos, thank you. I have no explanation for this. Wrestling seems to be the only business where not only do they not listen to the fans, they actively go against what the fans want to see. And it makes no sense. I have no idea why they think this is a good idea. It's not just WWE and TNA. Ring of Honor is guilty of the same thing. They wait to put the belt on someone until they've cooled off. The fans will really be into somebody, and they just wait and wait and wait. And then when they finally put the world title on them, people just don't really care anymore. And it usually causes them to hate that person, like Davey Richards. So I can't understand why WWE and TNA try to go against what the fans want. It makes no sense. It's a mystery to me. Just run in LA. Have you seen X-Pac and Chyna's sex tape? If so, what did you think about it? Yes, I have. I've seen Hulk Hogan's too. And they were both horrible. The X-Pac and Chyna's sex tape is very disturbing and should only be watched for educational purposes, I would say. Because that is... There is some strange behavior displayed in that sex tape. And some strange... What's the word I'm looking for here? Anatomy. Chyna's overly large... I'm trying to not say anything too graphic here. Chyna's overly large vagina and X-Pac's crooked wiener. That's what it looks like. It's like what they call a boomer wang. Terry Wallington. Do I think WCW will return? Maybe Shane could bring it back, maybe with Sting. It would be cool. Maybe Booker, Goldberg, and Jericho could join. At this point, I don't think so. A lot of the guys from WCW are past their prime now. Even Booker T. You got Chris Jericho, but even he's past his prime. It wouldn't make sense why Jericho would join a company he said many times in the past didn't know what they were doing, and he did not enjoy his time there. So I think it's just too late. K&A Gaming HD, what did you think of The Miz's Hill run as WWE Champion and The Miz's mic skills as well? I enjoyed Miz's Hill run. I felt like he lost too much. and it was hard to look at him as a strong opponent, but I still think he did a decent job. His mic skills were there, and it seems like after they took the belt off him and he just got lower and lower on the card, he kind of lost his confidence, and now poor Miz doesn't even have those mic skills, and I think that's because he lost his confidence. And Ric Flair said the same thing happened to him, and that's the worst thing that can happen to you in wrestling. And I think that with some people, the way WWE treats them can hurt them and cause them to lose that confidence. Like, it's too early to tell, but I think the way they treat AJ Lee could have a negative effect on her, with her fainting and everything and then making fun of it, because that's got to be a very traumatic experience for a person to go through, and then WWE just makes a joke out of it. Brent William Henry, what is the deal with Sin Cara? I heard he is about as useful as a garden gnome. Is his wrestling ability lacking? The fact he can't speak English and wears a mask just doesn't seem to connect with fans. Sin Cara was a great wrestler in Mexico. The fact that he can't speak English would normally hurt a person in WWE, but the mask, the mystery, the mystique helped. He was still getting over. The reason Sin Cara is not on television anymore is his own fault. He botched continuously, and maybe he could have helped that, at least with the higher ups and people who initially saw potential in him, if he tried to learn English and maybe could start cutting some promos and trying to improve. But from what I heard, he just didn't care. He didn't try to learn English. He went out there and just continuously botched. It's his own fault. He was given a great opportunity initially. Get No Cheeks. What do you think of the world titles possibly being unified? I like and don't like it because I don't think WWE will give their one world title to a guy like Cesaro or Rollins or Dolph Ziggler. I agree completely. I like the world title because I like that belt. I like the history behind that belt. And I would hate to see it go away. I do not want to see them unify the titles. And I think there's nothing wrong with having a world champion on SmackDown and the WWE champion, who is the real champion, we all know it, on Raw. Plus, it's a great way to boost guys up like Cesaro or Rollins or Dolph Ziggler, like you said. And to be honest, the world title is basically the Intercontinental title. The way the Intercontinental title was booked back in the day is basically what the world title is today. Maybe a little higher up than the Intercontinental title, but I would hate to see it go away. I think it really helped Daniel Bryan a lot too. It does serve a purpose. Isaiah1231, CPNYC. CM Punk actually called himself a sociopath in an interview and says he doesn't feel guilt or remorse. Well, that doesn't surprise me at all. The guy's a known asshole. Just run in LA. Okay, last question. Is your dog an inside or outside dog? Outside dog. Yeah, she's always been an outside dog. She was kind of in between, but the only time we bring her in really is if it's cold. I mean, when she was just a puppy, of course, she stayed inside most of the time, but once she got bigger, she's got a kennel and everything, so she stays outside. But yeah, it gets pretty damn cold here, so we will bring her in during the winter. And she stays with my parents. Zeppelin, big fan. I wonder how you feel about WWE at the moment. I've slowly lost interest, unfortunately, and now I mainly follow the shows through your recaps. I think I'll eventually start paying attention again, but the 3-hour shows are really starting to discourage me. I've heard a lot of people say that 3 hours is a long time for a wrestling show. If I didn't do the reviews, I would not watch all these shows. No way in hell. And if I did, there would be a lot of fast forwarding going on. It's just, I feel like every time WWE does something good, they get our hopes up, and then they immediately dash it and just kill it. and it's been happening for a long time now. I was not that happy with WrestleMania 28 or 29, and I'm just hoping, because I have tickets to WrestleMania 30, that this is a good show. But it just seems like WWE for the past few years cannot do anything, well, longer than the past few years, for a long ass time now. They cannot reach anything above average, and it's because every time they're about to get to that level, they just, for lack of a better word, they just puss out. They don't follow through with anything. They keep going back to guys like Cena and Orton. And you saw it with CM Punk when he did the shoot interview, or the shoot promo, I mean, and he left, and then they immediately had to bring him back, and then Cena's out, and they're trying to build up Daniel Bryan, and then they got to rush Cena back, and then put Big Show in the role that should have been Daniel Bryan's. Fans were chanting Daniel Bryan. It was obvious it should have been him. He should have been the guy. He should have won the title. It would have been an awesome moment, but instead they just... It's like the Martin Ellis question. Why do they not listen to the fans? Who knows? They don't want the business to die, but they're just actively going against what would make it succeed. And I can't explain that. I'm sorry. I don't think anybody can explain that. The writers, ex-writers, who do interviews and podcasts and stuff when they leave WWE, they say it's the same thing. They don't know why they make these decisions and constantly change things in the booking. And it's always for the worse. But anyways, that is the last question of this Q&A. Once again, I appreciate all the questions. Had some really great questions for this Q&A. Really enjoyed doing this. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this too. And for my 1000th video, I'm not sure what I'm going to do for that, but I don't really want to do another Q&A. I want to try to do something a little bit different. So hope you guys have enjoyed this, and thanks for watching.